Welcome to No More Rules, the impact of being you, no matter what. A movement to awaken your inner power and be the creator of your own healthy life. With hosts Steph, Yost, and Camille Barreto, where clean eating is at the core of our inner growth by honoring our body and health. They will help shift perceptions, encourage thinking outside the box, and overcoming limiting behaviors and beliefs. You are worthy of living your best life, developing your inner power with clean eating and healthy lifestyle, and discovering your awesomeness. No More Rules starts now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Camille. This is Steph, No More Rules, and we have this amazing guest with us this week, Dana Yu Camp, our dear, precious friend. And I was telling her as she shyly goes, no, how much she has transformed our lives. I think we've known each other 4+ years, Dana?
Yeah, probably about that long.
Yeah, she's incredible. And you know how you just have people in your lives that you meet them and you're so attracted to them. And I was at an expo and I sat down with her and met with her for 30 minutes. She did an intuitive numerology session on me, and it was so cute. And I tell a lot of my clients about it, how you went, oh, you think you came here to fix and save everybody, don't you? And I went, yeah. She's like, and you don't realize the weight of the world, how that you release the weight of the world off of my shoulders just from looking at my numbers and telling me that I went, oh my gosh, and looking at the numbers, because I know you say the numbers just speak to you. You knew me without knowing me, and you guided me, and I just went, wow, I've got to have more of her. So I told Steph about you, and Steph, you scheduled an appointment then with her?
I'm trying to remember the exact, like, when I met you. I think it was with Tracy and I came up or something, but when I met you, I was like, you know, that energy that you can just feel, like, oh, I just felt your energy, and what you gave me, like the reassurance that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're wherever you are is what you're supposed to learn from this. And like, you've given me such guidance, even on my children, of how to deal with them, adult children, and that what I'm supposed to learn from them, and to be able to step back, and they're on their own journey. We're all here just to experience things. And it's given me such freedom and really just comfort to know that I can't mess up. Yeah. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
There's a peace in it. There's peace in that.
There is.
I think so much of what you in our coaching sessions. So I think for the next 3.5, 4 years, then I was making sure that I was meeting with you monthly. Mm-hmm. And we would do an hour session together. And I'm going to just highly, like, 6 stars, not 5 stars on Dana Camp, recommend her. Super powerful, but so many tools you gave me that I was able to give my clients. But you truly, the title of your business is The Inside Job. Am I correct?
The Inside Job Holistic Wellness. Yep.
And man, is it an inside job.
Everything.
And when you work on the inside, it's amazing how the outside, everything just flows so much easier when you're willing to really take a look at that inside.
Mm-hmm. So let's back up just a bit.
Okay.
People want to know who Dana is. So Dana, tell us what you do in your words.
Okay. So what I offer is, everything I do is frequency. Everything in the world is either harmony or disharmony. And so what I do is I help people get back in harmony, right? So whether it's through the frequencies that you came here to experience your life through, which would be your numerology, or whether it's something like you have a sensitivity to something like a food or an allergy or or like seasonal allergies and things like that. There's so many things that can be out of harmony that take us out of balance with ourselves. But like my goal is to help people get to the root of the disharmony so that we can create the harmony. And it's really about peeling off the layers of who you aren't, right? And it's always, we have so many sides to us. So when I do my sessions, we also look at, we do things with our eyes closed and we do things with our eyes open, because those are different places that energies can be affected, right? So something maybe happened to you in the dark, or something happened when your eyes were closed, or something that's very internal, like you're guiding that from internal. Could be from the dark with your eyes closed, right? But with your eyes open, is that more how you're allowing the outside world to affect you, or something that happened with the lights on or during the day, right? Like there's so many different ways that our body records, right? So that's really a nervous system thing too. So like there's so many things. Like for me to explain everything I do is really difficult, because I do everything so intuitively. I go wherever you need to go. It's not one size fits all at all with what I do. It's just really not. There's so many different ways that you could be in disharmony, and me and my strengths, which we were just talking about just before we started, like my strengths are how everything is connected. My strength is in being able to find the connection and the strategy of how to get to that root. It's about who you are and finding those paths that are going to help you be successful in creating that personal harmony for yourself. Because everything is an inside job. How the world responds to us, how we respond to the world, still our power. So many of us walk around without our power. We give it away. We don't even know we're giving it away. But when we're triggered on a regular basis, those triggers are saying, hey, this is where you're out of harmony. So it's showing you where the work needs to be. And I don't even like to use the word heal, because it's really not about heal. It's about getting back into harmony with yourself, right? And peeling off those expectations that have been put on us through our ancestors and society, and maybe any belief that we hold deeply, right? Our beliefs create our satisfaction, right? When whatever we believe in, we give power to. So if we believe in something that causes us great suffering, we are giving our power to that. We can also take it back. It's just really about remembering who you really are and being able to navigate where you're leaking your harmony, where you're leaking power that's creating the disharmony in your life, right? What choices are you making?
I remember a conversation that you and I had once regarding me being triggered by a friend. And I'm like, why? And she goes, well, you told me, and it kind of hurt, but it made such sense. It's like, well, what's triggering you about her is something that you don't typically like in yourself. So when I was feeling this around this other person, I was like, oh, that I'm triggered because that's something in myself that I don't like. And I just thought it was her. And you're like, no, it's you, Steph. And I've gotten over that. And it's such a refreshing thing to be good. Like, oh, if there's something I don't like in somebody else, that's on me. And I got to figure that out and work on my own stuff. And it's the process of that growth of not knowing of what you've taught us. And you've just opened our reality to so many different possibilities instead of going, nope, I just don't like that about her. No, it's me. And it's that inside job. And that's why it's so perfect.
I call that service that I do perception coaching, right? Because our perception is really what needs to shift if it's causing us to suffer, right? And that's a lot of that. Like, I know that this is a really common word people are using now, but the shadow work aspect. Mm-hmm. So shadow is anything that you haven't integrated into yourself with love, right? So we're here as human beings to feel everything. The experiences that we came here to do as a human being are to feel everything. all these opportunities to feel. That's all this really is. And so the sooner that we go, oh, I'm just here to feel that. Can I just feel that and then move through it? Or am I going to feel it and then shame, guilt, embarrass, or humiliate myself into hiding it, which is what we get our shadow from, right? So your shadow is whatever you've rejected about yourself or have hidden out of fear of rejection from others. So it can even be like, people always think it's just negative emotions that we hide. No, some people hide their loving emotions too, because they're afraid of being hurt by being sensitive, right? So anything can be in your shadow. It doesn't just exclusively mean, negative emotions, right? And I don't even think of them as like, we have to label them something to explain them, but like nothing is negative or positive until you add that intensity to it. It's a choice to label, right? And that's the programming that I was talking about. Like, did your family did everyone shame people in the family for being vulnerable? Well, then vulnerability is going in the shadow closet, right? Like, we're going to put that far, far away from us, because what's worse than being rejected by your core group of people, right? So when you think about it like that, you got to remember that, why is that there? And really a lot of what it is I'm going to help you bring things to awareness. I'm going to bring it into your awareness so that you can choose to shift it. And you don't have to shift it, right? That's the free will on earth. That's where the free will comes in. You could live your entire life in fear and you didn't do it wrong. You just chose to live it out through that frequency. But it is a choice. It doesn't have to be through fear. You can choose self-love. You can choose loving and patient and compassionate and empathetic. You can choose those things over the fear, the judgment, right? We can choose those. And it just makes them shift.
I think the most powerful part of your coaching, Dana, is that you have no expectations. And you give permission to feel everything fully, and that there are no wrong moves. But the two most powerful emotions that you gave me permission to have were anger and hate. Like, that was in my shadow closet, because that's not nice to have anger or to hate. And you came in at a time into my office that I was just going through something really hard. And you just called it what it was. And I just started crying. That I was like, you're right. I am angry and I hate this situation. And I was just struggling with some clients. And you were just like, this is what you're feeling. And it's okay, Camille. It's not wrong to feel that.
Right.
But just holding loving, unconditional space for people to fully be themselves. And that is a beautiful place to be, because the world doesn't give us a lot of opportunities to be in that kind of space. So I thank you dearly for that, because I think that that's where my growth and expansion with you was able to occur, because you held that loving, unconditional space for me for that hour that I was in a session with you.
And it was my honor. Like, I feel like the work I've done on myself and my own self-acceptance has given me, and that's exactly what I feel like being that it's an inside job. How do we change the world? We change us, right? We change the way we look at it. We change that way. We see that angry man at checkout, just screaming and yelling and having a fit. Instead of looking at him and being repulsed and radiating irritation and hate and annoyance at him, we can look at him for what he's in. He's in fear. And we can choose to send calming, loving energy towards him, because we recognize and we have empathy for his fear, right? It doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice ourselves. And I think that's the hardest thing for people when they're loving, is they think that they have to throw themselves in the fire to save somebody else. And you don't. You being your most authentic version of yourself, the most loving, kind version of yourself, the most honest, kind person, being true to yourself, that's all people need from you. And if that means you're in fear and you're having a moment, then that is helping people. And people don't think that, but it's true. Even if someone shows up in their fear, what are they doing? They're showing you their authenticity. They are frustrated. They are hurt. They are in pain. And we shun that. And we really shouldn't. We should be holding space for that person. We shun it in ourselves. That's why we shun it in them. Well, you don't do that in public. You do when you're in that much pain. You do when you're in that much pain.
You said these really powerful words once about, like, I think we were talking about my son or something, and I was saying how angry he is and how he lashes out at me. Well, because I'm safe and he can do that. And you said, if he's that angry, imagine what's going on the inside.
Yeah.
And that he was letting that out. So I just hold space for him and I let him vent and allow that and go, he's working through things. And instead of me going, that's unacceptable, your behavior, the way you're acting, the way you're treating me. And now I just realized he needs to let that out. And I didn't cause that anger in him. And you just taught me to just, like what you said, hold space and let him be.
Yep. And that's, I mean, honestly, that's all you can do. And that loops back to what Camille, when I first met her, how she thought she was supposed to save the world. And it's not about that, right? It's about being able to hold space, unconditionally loving space for someone. You don't even have to understand what they're going through to hold space. You don't have to say any advice to them. You just hold space for them. They may not even know that you're holding space for them, like the man at the grocery store. Right? But us sending our energy, because we are all connected. When that man is scared and upset and everyone around him like starts to move away from him instead of holding space for him, he just feels more and more and more and more alienated and afraid. Yeah. Because we are all connected. It's not our job to save people, but it doesn't cost us anything to hold space.
So I had a client last week. It was a guy who's lost over 100 pounds with us, and we've become fairly close. Mm-hmm. And I was coming out about 5-10 minutes later than I should have to meet him, greet him, bring him in. And he had had a week of eating really healthy and saw no movement on the scale. And he was angry. And he walked into my office and he is fuming and he is letting me have it. Why did I even do this? What a waste of money. What was I thinking? This doesn't work. And, you know, if you hadn't coached me, I just sat down with him and we started to talk about, you know, what are you so angry about? And he said, the scale's not moving and I'm still fat. And I said, well, first of all, that's a diet. If you're concerned about the scale and you're concerned about this, it's about, you know, longevity, health, feeling good, energy. And, you know, you were talking about peeling the onion. And I said, what do you feel is the biggest programming you heard as a child? And he said, to be seen and not heard. And I said, so when you walked into my office, you wanted me to see you and you wanted me to hear you, didn't you?
Yep.
He said, you dang right I did. And I said, did I see you and did I hear you? And then the whole conversation shifted. Mm-hmm. And I said, now can we really talk about what's going on? Mm-hmm. But I just held space and I heard him and I saw him. How many people in their childhood was probably raised that way, to be seen and not heard? And by God, I'm going to be seen and I'm going to be heard. I'm an adult now.
Yep. And you couldn't have seen that if you had been sucked into mirroring his energy back to him. If you were mirroring back his frustration, nothing would have healed in that situation. His awareness would not have gone to the root of the issue. Or one of the issues, right?
Right.
Because that is a big one for a lot of us. And I don't know that that's something that the younger generations are teaching their kids. But I know that mine did. Boomer kids, boomers, their children, they had that. I know I did.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, you know, that shifts when we shift. You know, my daughter's raising her daughter very differently, and I'm so proud of them for it. And she is going to have self-esteem and confidence like none of us had, simply because she's encouraged to be herself and encouraged to emote, right? A lot of us were taught to stifle, shove it down. You're not allowed to be angry. You're a kid. You're not allowed to be angry. But the adults around us were very angry, right? That's where we got it from. They never taught us. They were never taught, right? So it's not about blame either. It's about recognizing the pattern and taking responsibility for yourself and choosing not to repeat the pattern.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm.
What is the next thing you're working on, Dana? What is your biggest discovery? Like what you're doing to help clients, because you have this handful of clients, not a handful, you have probably hundreds of clients.
Yeah.
You're always transforming yourself to the game, from not just doing numerology and people's numbers to tuning fork, where you come to your office and you lay on this incredible bed and she does the tuning forks and puts all of your body in frequency and clearing toxins and disease and
Harmony.
negative thoughts
Mm-hmm.
or heart wiring.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you do as far as services?
Well, some of the stuff that's all just integrated into who I am. Like when I said I go intuitively with all the tools that I have in my toolbox, right? So I have specialized kinesiology in my toolbox. So that helps me. Again, I would say my focus is the emotional work that we need to do, because that seems to be the root of a lot of our, even our physical manifestations and our illnesses, right? Our dis-ease and our disharmony really is what it is, that has been in the body too long. Emotions have settled in the body and they haven't been processed, and they eventually cause physical disharmony, right? So yes. Getting to the root of that, one of the things I've just added to my toolbox, which I'm super excited about, and I've had all my clients have rolled over to it, because I just integrated it into whatever I was already doing with them. And it's called TheraWellness. And it's a device that can read the frequency that your body emits, and it can sort the harmonious from the disharmonious. It can amplify the harmonious, and it can invert the disharmonious. So it either neutralizes or it just brings it into harmony. Like we want to bring the body back into homeostasis, right? Which is where it's in harmony. So what the machine does, and it can do, it does emotions, fears, beliefs. It works on all the levels of the body, the physical, the mental, the emotional. It works on all of the levels. So if we can find the disharmony, we can invert it. So, but we still have to do the work on the beliefs, right? So that part is still integrated, right? We figure out, okay, why is that there? Let's work on why it's there. How can we also shift the perception or belief behind why it keeps manifesting in disharmony, right? It's a journey, and everyone's journey is so unique, and everyone that comes see me is going to have a very unique experience as far as they have unique frequency issues, right? So we work on those. I love this new technology that's been brought in. It's actually not new. It's 40 years old, but it hasn't been allowed in the United States until recently. It's just phenomenal. Like, it's this extra level of tool that I didn't have access to, right? We could work on something for weeks and not figure out exactly what is actually in that. What is it? Is it ancestral? Is it societal? What beliefs are you holding that's creating this? And at least we can get to the bottom of the line. So when people think emotionally, they think in terms of happy, mad, and sad. There are so many other emotions attached that we have oversimplified into happy, mad, and sad, right? And so what we do when I work with you, we find those things. We find the part of the body that emotion's trapped in, and then we explore, okay, is it anger? Is it frustration and hurt and embarrassment? And that list is long. Like, there's a lot of things that we just throw in the anger basket, right? But it's so much more. And when you can find that, and give it a name and name it and then integrate it into your wholeness without shame, guilt, humiliation, or embarrassment, you are transforming. You are creating that harmony within you. When you accept that you're allowed to feel those things, that's powerful. We've been taught and told we're not supposed to feel those things. If you do, you're a bad person. Well, hi, shame. Hi, guilt. Hi, embarrassment. Hi, humiliation. It's kind of like holding a beach ball under the water. And that's all the stuff you don't want people to see about you. How long can you bob without that ball popping up? You're going to get tired at some point and it's going to pop up. And all those things you don't want people to see, or they're going to see them. But what if you didn't hold anything under the water? What if you allowed yourself to be authentic through awareness, through self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
Do I have a right to have feelings? Absolutely. How I express those is also my responsibility. Great. So again, awareness, huge. So I use technology in my services as well. So I use tuning forks. I use specialized kinesiology. I use intuitive numerology. I do the perception coaching. We do shadow integration. We work on the whole body. And when it comes to nutrition, since that's the focus of your guys' show, there are things in our body that are called nutrition points. And if you're taking all the vitamins, but you're never feeling any better, if you're eating properly, but you're not feeling any better, or maybe you stall out, maybe your nutrition point isn't switched on. Maybe it needs to be reactivated. Maybe your calcium isn't being absorbed properly because the body has forgotten that frequency of it, right? So what we can do is we can reactivate that nutrition point. We can help it assimilate and metabolize again. It can be done. When somebody hasn't had proper nutrition for a long time, maybe the body just forgot how to metabolize it. Maybe you're not absorbing the calcium because your magnesium and your vitamin D3 are off, right? You could be taking it, but it's not helping. And it's very frustrating. And I can totally understand where your client was upset, Camille. I can totally understand. We expect a payoff when we shift stuff, right? Like if I cut out all those foods that are not healthy for me and I bring those others in, I'm going to expect to see a return on that.
Yeah.
But if I remember your journey, Dana, through like when you would come to Grand Island and Dana would stay with me and she was doing another weight loss program of something and you weren't getting results and I was watching you do all of these things and you weren't getting anywhere. And finally you're like, okay, I need to know what you and Camille are doing. And so we took you on the journey and your body responded, but it responded because you were given the nutrients that you specifically needed through our Zyto scans, through the great supplementation and ridding the toxins from your body.
Yeah.
And you saw amazing results and you went on this internal journey to find out what's going on with your body. Why were you not able to lose weight? All of these things that happened and you just allowed it to work. And that was such a blessing to have you as a client, as not only a great friend, but to watch your journey of going, it's all coming together. And you're like, I don't have to weigh this number. I don't have to weigh myself every day on the scale because you were just allowing it to happen and it to work. And when we do allow, it flows much better instead of white knuckling it and gripping it and making it something that it's not. You just allowed and you healed and you're glowing.
It's definitely a journey. It's definitely a very common thing for people on earth to have that journey with their physical body and being in a fight with it, right? Being in resistance to your own body, making yourself and your body enemies, right?
Yeah. And that's where disease happens.
Yeah. And that comes down to those emotion again and those beliefs again. Like, what belief are you holding?
Right.
I have to be this size. I have to weigh this much. I have to. And then when you don't, then you are shaming, you're guilting, you're you feel, you feel embarrassed, like all those shadow things come up again, right? That keeps us from reaching those goals when we hold those beliefs.
And I think you were the reason for the shifting in our coaching style. I would say intuitively, I knew I wanted to coach differently, but I didn't know how to go about it until I met you. And then I realized, okay, Steph, and we just kind of got on board with that this is an inside job, that let's stop making it an outside inward process. It's got to be changing from the inside out, or we're just white knuckle life and this is just going to be another diet, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's why we truly believe and know that our program is permanent weight loss, because you're not going to do the shift and the work that we've learned from you with balances and frequencies and being in control. When you are in control, you can make permanent changes. And it's not a diet. It's a lifestyle.
It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's choices, right? Like, is what I'm choosing bringing me closer to or farther away from my goal?
Well, and also making choices from a loving place versus a judgmental, critical, shaming, insulting place.
A punishing place.
Place.
Which is the programming, right?
Yeah.
Why do we punish ourselves? Why do we beat ourselves up? When was the last time being mean to yourself motivated you? Like, for real though, like it lowers your frequency when you're mean to yourself. It lowers your self-esteem. It lowers your motivation when you're hard on yourself.
Yep.
You're going to make it that much harder talking down to yourself than if you encouraged yourself. It's just that we haven't had a lot of encouragement in this world, right? It has been what you're doing wrong, not what you're doing well. That is a program on this planet, to point out what someone isn't doing well instead of what they are. And so when you can become that cheerleader in your own head, what am I doing well? What am I doing well? Instead of what am I doing wrong? What can I shift? What can I shift? What am I already doing well? And how can I support that with more shifts?
Well, about how this goes back to Christy Peterson, when she would have us make a list of 25 adjectives, positive things about yourself. And that's hard for people to do, is because we're so hard on ourselves. We don't like this about ourselves. I should be better at this. I should work harder, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And they've done studies about women. And this is kind of a parallel. It can be applied to this for sure. But like when women apply for jobs, they have found that women won't apply for jobs if they don't know every single skill. Whereas men have been encouraged to just do it anyway, and they'll apply whether they have any of the skills.
Wow.
So women hold ourselves back because we think we have to check every box, but we don't. We are adaptable and we have all these skills that would translate, but we don't believe those are enough. Not believing you're enough is a huge issue, right? I am enough. Everything I do is enough. If I've done the best I can do every single day, even on my worst day, I still did the best I could, right? And that's true for everyone. And that applies to, like, when you see people who are having a hard day, instead of being rough on them or judging them, if you looked at them and said, damn, is that the best? That's the best that person could do today. They're having a really hard day. Do you see what I mean? Like, would we want to add to that hard day? Would we want to make that harder for them? Or would we want to recognize they are doing the best they can do? And just recognizing that person is giving me the best they can give me today. How can I be more supportive of that?
And it takes us out of that judgment zone where we're going, why did they do that? Why couldn't they have done that harder? Why didn't they succeed at that? Or just the whole judging. It's like, give them space.
But look at it
They're
this
doing
way.
the best they can.
When we're judging other people harshly, what we're really judging is our reflection in that other person. So you're not enough. You don't work hard enough. You aren't giving it enough effort, and you're projecting that onto the other person.
I think that's why the perception coaching is so perfect for you, Deanna, because what we focus on, our perceptions of ourselves, like what we focus on becomes our reality.
Yep.
And our perception of ourselves, just like you said, is then projected on other people. Well,
Yep.
if you're doing the inside work, and the more beautiful and loving and kind and compassionate that becomes, I've already figured out how much more loving, kind, and compassionate I am now towards so many more people. When we heal ourselves, we heal the world.
It overflows.
It does, but we put so much
overflows.
work in trying to control things outside of ourselves that you're so great about going, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not something you're here to take care of or control. What does that have to do with you, Camille? Okay, let me think. I mean, and how many tears did I cry in our sessions? Like, I am willing to show up and do the work so that my life can feel so much better. But man, some of that work, it's intense. It's not easy, but it is so worth it. But your training on perception has been pivotal and key in my life.
I'm so grateful that I've been able to be there and hold space for both of you, and that you have held space for me in return. Like, it does go both ways. You guys have both been very kind, very compassionate, very patient with me when I get stuck. And I'm human, I get stuck, right? I don't have it all figured out, but I do share everything I do have figured out. And maybe I'll figure out another even more powerful level than that, because I continue to work on myself. And I'll share it, and I'll share it, and I'll share it, and I'll continue to share it, because all I can do and all anyone can do is be the brightest light that they can be, right? I can't make anybody change. I can't make anybody take what I say and apply it. I can't. But what I can do is be the example of it and let them see their self through my reflection, which is patient and compassionate and kind and open and accepting, right? I have unconditional acceptance for people exactly right where you are right this minute. You don't have to do anything to impress me or be worthy of my unconditional attention, acceptance, and love. I am going to hold that space for you no matter what you're going through.
Well, and what's interesting is that you do. At first I was like, yeah, right. Okay. Like, you caught me off guard in a 30-minute session, and it was amazing that I was like, I'm going to dabble in this some more, but let's see if she's the real deal. Because when you're not in a world where people do hold loving, unconditional space for you, or that hasn't been the norm, you're not quick to trust or believe that.
And that trust is yours. Did you know that? You don't trust yourself to trust others. So that trust is even yours, right? Our lack of trust in the people around us is our lack of trust in ourselves to choose the people around us.
Because I was terrible at choosing people. So no wonder I trust.
But you didn't love yourself. So yeah, you would have a hard time trusting people who were loving. And I explained that, like, I consider myself a lighthouse. Lighthouses don't move. They stay where they are. They're grounded, and they shine their light into the darkness. Yeah. When I shine my light into people's shadows and into places that they don't believe yet, yeah, they're going to swat at me, and they're going to be annoyed at my light. And that's okay. And the ones that want to see themselves in the reflection of me will keep coming back. And the ones that aren't ready will come back later or when they're ready. But I know that I planted a seed, right? But when you're a lighthouse and you're shining light into places that people don't want to look at themselves, they are going to have strong reactions to that. And I do have clients who have strong reactions to me. And it does take time for them to trust that I'm actually consistent, right? Some people are like, there's no way you're that nice. Well, I am that nice, but I'm all the things though. I have shadows too, right? And I work on those shadows all the time. I'm not triggered near as often as I had been in the past. Like, I see it quickly. I'm a very aware person. I see it. And if it's mine, I actually get a little excited. If somebody can upset my peace, I go, oh my gosh, I gave my power away. where's that coming from? And then I get all excited because I get to go figure it out. But like,
that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, I get excited. That's what I choose over being fearful and frustrated. I get excited and curious because I get to go on a discovery and go on an adventure, really, to figure out, okay, why is that there?
Yeah.
And I look at it with questions and compassion.
You do that. And I think of like, even all the times that I've called you as a friend, like, okay, help me work through this. Why am I feeling this way? And you're like, okay, just sit in it. Just be in that and work through it. And your openness and accepting, you're like, okay, what's that about? What is that truly about? And instead of just being mad or frustrated, when you ask those questions, and even like when you say about the lighthouse, that's so fantastic imagery, is like you ask the questions that made me think about, like, why am I really feeling that way? Why am I reacting that way? And is it really mine? Lots of time it's not.
And just thinking about like, okay, I'm giving my power away. Why? Why am I giving my power away? What belief am I holding that I am giving my power away to this situation or this person? That's a really important question to ask yourself. Where am I giving away my power? Because if someone can upset your peace, you have given away your power to them. Somewhere you gave them the power over that, right?
Yeah.
So in what belief am I holding? And it could be think of any label you want, right? Labels are huge. Like when you can see someone as another soul on a journey and not as the labels that are attached to a lot of expectations, right? Expectations on other people is a huge part of our disappointment. When you call someone mom, what does mom mean? What responsibilities have you assigned expectations for the mom or the dad or the boyfriend or the husband or the grandma? Who shows up just like the archetype that we have been programmed to believe they should be, right?
Yeah.
Even just the mom. Does your mom tuck you in? Does she kiss you on the forehead? Does she help you tie your shoes? Does she teach you to put makeup on? Does she teach you to shave your legs? Does she talk to you about boys? But what if she doesn't? Does she make you birthday cakes and throw you birthday parties? Does she take you prom dress shopping? Not everybody has that.
So can I give a really great example of you coaching me on that, Dana? Okay, so in the middle of Spencer's, my son, still being with his father, and there was abuse there, and I was scared to death of his safety. And you did his numbers, just like Steph was saying, how helpful you are in helping us raise our children. And you did his numbers, and we were talking, and I know I was in tears and just scared to death and worried for him. And she said, well, remove the label that you're his mom and he's your son. He is his own separate soul on his own separate journey. And is he learning things right now through these experiences with his father, just like you did? Yes. Okay. Just hold loving space for that. Just honor that. And I was like, wow, I was so entrenched in that label that I needed to fix and save him, or I needed to be, how can I not save him? What's going to happen? And you just released all that fear when I understood you're right. We're separate souls on our own separate journey. Honor that. Understand he's having experiences, and that's okay.
And we all have our own frequencies that we came here to experience things through. That's why 1,000 people could witness the same thing and not witness the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? We're all going to see it through. When you think of the numbers in your chart for numerology, think of them as the filters that you filter life through, right? How is somebody who is the rebel, adventure, and freedom seeker going to view something versus the organized, structured, and security focused right? Very different ways of looking at the world. Polar opposite ways of looking at the world. And so if you have that, they're going to see it from a completely different place than you would. They're going to filter it through a completely different lens than you will. So yeah, some people might not see, they're like, you know, they might lack a little compassion about something that's upsetting you because to them it's not a big deal, but to you it was a really big deal. It's why we have to, you know, we have to realize we're projecting, right? We are projecting. So what people need is unconditional acceptance is what they need, for us to hold space for them. Can you imagine how different our world would be if people just allowed people to be authentic?
Yeah.
And, you know, and they go, oh, what if people are, you know, bad people? Well, would they be bad people if they were allowed to be authentic?
So that's my next question. What do you believe the whole point of the human journey is about?
100% just having emotional experiences. We come here and these circumstances that we expose ourselves to are only opportunities to feel deeply. So when we avoid feeling, right? Think of your life as a heartbeat, right? On a monitor. It goes up above the line and down below the line. And it goes all these peaks and valleys, right? And that's living. When you avoid the highs and to avoid the lows, you are flatlining. You're not living at all.
That's what I was doing when I was pushing. Remember when nothing bothered me, Camille? No big deal. I just push it under the rug.
Yeah.
And Dana and Camille were like, no, you gotta, it's in the weeds is where the growth is. And you're like, you were meant to experience all that, so feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes out on the other side is truly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And like Camille and we've just been on such a journey, and we're just so glad to have Dana be such an important part in our life. And just being able to be free and authentic has just given me honestly such wings. And I was talking about this yesterday because somebody called me a dork. And Camille used to always call me a dork. And one time I said to her, I said, hurt my feelings by calling me a dork. And you're like, no, it's my loving way of saying you're authentic and you're fun and you're silly. And I love that about you. And I have taken it as something negative. And now I love it when she calls me that. And someone called me a dork yesterday. And I'm like, it's because I was being so authentic and me.
Yeah.
And I was just having fun. And so much of the time, we're told, be quiet. Don't laugh. Don't do that. Don't wear that because someone's going to judge you wrong, or all these things. That's why we came up with our show, No More Rules, because it's just honestly a bunch of BS. So be the dork that you are, live your life, and feel those emotions. That's what Dana has taught us and shown us through numerology of our names and acceptance of like, how people rest and need different things in their life and to allow.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to be authentic because you're going to have to be okay with people projecting, right? Mm-hmm. We just get to refine. We still get to decide who we spend our energy with, right?
Yes. But when you do, it is the most freeing thing to be authentic and vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's hard.
For sure. It doesn't have to be hard. And I actually stay away from the word hard because I heard it the other day on another podcast. They said hard. I don't even know. Like so many times the whole thing was hard. And I thought, whoa, that energy of that word is just so repelling to me. Right. So I calculated it and guess what it is? It's a 22, which is like doubling down on trying to create harmony. It's so powerful when you use words. When they say you're spelling, when you use words, you are using frequency, right? So the energy behind the word hard is like doubling down. It's extra. It's extra. So it is important for us to pay attention to the words we use because they do affect us and they affect the people around us. So finding new words like shift or actually I wrote them down. So So the word struggle, the struggle is a 1. So when you say you're struggling, you feel alone.
Okay.
Right? It's all about being alone. It's a 1, right?
Yeah.
Shifting is a 9. 9 is the humanitarian. It's taking all the knowledge that you have and applying it. So shifting is a great word to use. The word shift is an 8, which is empowering, right? It's an 8. So it's all about power. And it's a 2 and a 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. And the energy of 2 is peace and harmony. And 6 is family and working on the roots of responsibility in yourself. That's taking your power back right there, right? There's so many great words. Surrender is a 5, which is all about change and opportunity. So depending on what words that you allowing is my favorite. It's a 3. Okay. Allowing is that unconditional love and acceptance. That is the 3, allowing, right? So which words feel good to you? Which ones don't? Supportive is also an 8. It leads with the 5. It's change and unconditional love. Proactive is a 1, built on the foundation, on a strong foundation and responsibility. That's a 1. So it also matters what are the influencers to these energies too, because there's a spectrum for any number. There is no good or bad, but there is a spectrum of fear-based versus love-based meaning, right? Mm-hmm. So depending on how you want to take this, but when I hear, like, even the word challenging is an 11. So it doubled down as well. Challenging and hard are both master numbers, and they add amplification to whatever you're trying to do. So it's really important the way we use our words, right? Even numerologically, those words carry frequencies. That's why when we calculate your name, it gives us the insights to how you feel on the inside and how other people perceive you.
Well, and it was interesting, you just going through, like, when Steph and I, our last names changed, the difference in our energies. Like, I picked up the marvelous, wonderful last name, finally, Barreto, and I love it. But you also said, well, you also shifted from Weens to Barreto, and these were the shifts that took place. And my clients could have told you that when I took on the Barreto name.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have said that too, Steph. You saw a change in me even when I became Barreto.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel the same way even when I went back to my maiden name. It was like, ooh, that's good. I feel good. Stefani Yost.
Yeah.
And it was a shift.
It's powerful. It's very influential. So how we talk to ourselves, right?
Yes.
If I keep telling myself everything is hard, this is so hard, this is so hard, like, you can just feel the weight being added to the challenge of it already, right?
Yeah.
So it's important, like, choosing your words. Choosing your words when you talk to yourself are really important. Choose your words when you talk to others. So when you're just, I just really want people to move away from everything being hard.
Yeah.
Because it adds to how hard it is, right?
Yeah. Each morning before I start seeing clients, I ask God's source to please give me the words, the wisdom, and the actions for everyone's highest good. And I know as a practitioner, you do the same thing, that you're only allowing in what is for everybody's highest good. And you have a great balance in your coaching style where you can be confrontive, but also compassionate and soft at the same time. Because there were times, Dana, you needed to confront me with some behaviors or thoughts or whatever that was really ruffling my world. And it's like, okay, Camille, we're going to have to talk about, okay.
There is ownership, right? So I would say the partners in perception work is ownership and awareness, right? So to become aware and then own your part and then accept.
Yeah. So how do people, go ahead.
Go ahead, Camille. I know what you're going to say.
Oh, I was going to just ask Dana, can you tell us how people can get a hold of you for your magnificent coaching and services?
Absolutely. So I'm old school, and I do not do websites. I spend all of my time with my clients, so I don't spend energy on things like that. I also don't enjoy it, so I don't spend energy on it. So that's something I don't do. So no website, but you can reach me directly by text or phone. Make sure you leave a message because I am typically very busy, but I will get back to you. My phone number is 402-960-0624. You can also reach me through email, but again, that's not something I prefer. It will take me longer to get back to you. That is my name, which is Dana, DANA UCAMP. So danaucamp@gmail.com. You can message me there, but again, your quickest, most efficient way to get a hold of me is through text or phone call.
So I'm sure these things that you've enlightened with us today, people are going to want to know more about numerology, about the inside job, those things that you do. And I encourage anyone listening to this to look into these things, look into them with Dana, find a source, because it's so healing. And be vulnerable, be you,
be courageous,
and hold space.
Be courageous. I also want to add that I don't think anyone isn't authentic. I think that there are levels and layers to that authenticity. Like there's a lot of stuff that we have been programmed to believe about ourselves that we haven't gotten to the source of who we are yet. And so I don't believe anyone is fake. I believe everyone is where they are based on what they came here to experience. There's no way to lose at this experience other than to not allow, right? Even in our fear, we can't fail. So you just get to decide how long you're in the fear, right?
I think that's a beautiful message. So with that, thank you, Dana UCAMP, for joining us today. We love you dearly. You have been so incredible in our lives, and more people need to be a part of your lighthouse. Truly, we love you. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been my pleasure. I love you guys so much.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thanks, Dana.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to No More Rules, the impact of being you, no matter what. Tune in live the first and third Monday of every month at 8 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Join the movement to awaken your inner power and be the creator of your own healthy life with hosts Steph Yost and Camille Barreto, where clean eating is at the core of our inner growth by honoring our body and health. They help shift perceptions, encourage thinking outside the box, and overcoming limiting behaviors and beliefs. You are worthy of living your best life, developing your inner power with clean eating and a healthy lifestyle, discovering your awesomeness. To find out more about Steph and Camille's wellness and weight loss coaching, visit yourimpactwellness.com today and schedule a consultation.